Hey, my name's Cole Taylor. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and what recovery means to me is making a better life out of a situation that I had no control over. My drug of choice was methamphetamines, and in 2019 I put the drugs down and chased after something that I knew that was possible for myself, which was recovery. And recovery looks like being a better person today, having spiritual principles, and just being a beacon of light for those who are struggling.
When you're thinking about yourself back in 2019, which is roughly 5 years, what what was it that brought the hope to you that you could have a different life from the way you were living life?
So I had heard about people getting sober and people getting clean from meth use, and I didn't think it would be me, right? I didn't think that I could be one of those people, and I'd kind of accepted that I would just be a drug addict for the rest of my life. And at the time in 2019, I was doing drag as a drag king, and one of my friend's children said, you know, Cole, like, I look up to you. And it really hit me of thinking, like, why this young child looks up to me and I'm shooting up drugs in my closet in my house, right? And that kind of gave me a shot, like I needed to make a change in my life. But I didn't know how. And I started looking up treatment centers, started looking for any kind of opportunity that I could obtain to get a better life. And I was in an Uber drive, and an Uber driver said to me that go to this place called the Alano Club in Salt Lake City, and they've got really good meetings. And so I went there and connected with some folks of just like getting into a residential program out in Salt Lake City. And that's kind of when recovery kick-started for me of like, holy shit, there is a way out of this. I was in residential for about 11 days, and then I switched over to an IOP program where I really dove straight headfirst into my recovery. I did the suggestion of 90 meetings in 90 days. I found a sponsor really quickly. I started working the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I chased recovery harder than I chased the drugs. And I think that's what really worked for me, is putting that to the forefront of what I wanted the most, because I just wanted to change. I didn't want to hate myself anymore. I didn't want to feel like I couldn't live without the drugs. I wanted to wake up and have a coffee like a normal person and not have to wake up and shoot up.
If you were talking to a whole mess of folks out there that maybe they're on the fence, or maybe they don't have the passion that you have for recovery, and you were to give them some words of encouragement or some suggestions or whatever, what would you want to say to those folks that are out there listening?
I'd want to tell them that recovery looks different for everyone. And it's not a cookie cutter program. What works for me might not work for you. And that regardless of what path you choose, as long as you're making those choices to better your life and to like help promote positivity, like that's what recovery is all about. You matter and that you're loved. And I think it took a minute to figure out who I was, because not only did I come into recovery in June 2019, I also came out as trans in July 2019. So I was going through like this awkward stage of my life where like I'm trying to figure out who my identity is. I'm trying to figure out sobriety. I'm trying to figure out how to navigate my life without the use of drugs and alcohol. And it put me in this pivotal moment of like the rise above from the ashes, essentially. My higher power bulldozed everything out of my way that wasn't serving me anymore. I got fired from a job. I couldn't live in my trap house anymore, and I had to get forced into getting uncomfortable. I got forced into, I shouldn't say forced into, I chose to move into a sober living. I had my dog with me, and I was very fortunate that that sober living allowed me to have my dog because that was my safe space. But I also like identifying who Kole is and having like a rebrand of like who I am as a person. And it's actually a really neat experience for me because I was able to like cut out the old me that held onto so much pain and so much like weight of the stigma and of the shame and just all the childhood trauma, and just redefine who I was as an individual, which comes in like Kole plays the ukulele really good. Kole skateboards okay-ish, right? And that's just like what was really, really meaningful to me is I got to decide who I wanted to be today. And that is an active community member. That's an honest person. That's a good friend, right? All of these principles and qualities that I've always wanted to have in myself, I just didn't know how. And it's because I had a foundation of recovery and through a 12-step program and through a sponsor that really defined the things that I wanted in my life.